Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, friends, wherever you are on this planet. A very warm welcome to you. I'm delighted to be here to speak with you on this very important and interesting issue of Ireland, the Emerald Isle. Let me introduce myself. My name is Ashok Sajjanhar. I'm a career diplomat. I come from India. I have served in the Indian diplomatic service for more than 3 decades. I've had the pleasure and privilege of serving as India's ambassador to Kazakhstan, one of the Central Asian states, to Sweden, to Latvia. And I've also served in senior diplomatic positions in a number of different countries, United States, Russian Federation, both also when in Moscow, when Moscow was the capital of Soviet Union in the early 80s, and then much later when it was the capital of the Russian Federation, in Geneva, in Brussels, in Bangkok, Dhaka, Tehran, and many other places. So I have moved around, and then after my retirement, currently I am the president of a think tank and called the Indian Institute of Global Studies. And I'm also a distinguished fellow on a number of other think tanks, both in India and in some other countries. I've been speaking on Viking for quite some time. It's a wonderful opportunity to meet new friends, to meet new people, and to learn of the different countries and different cultures. And today, of course, I'm delighted to be speaking, as I said, on this very exciting subject of Ireland, the Emerald Isle. I've spoken on this subject earlier when we did the British Isles Explorer cruise last year, and I'm going to be doing that again. So I look forward to the opportunity of not only connecting with you over this virtual medium, but also having the pleasure of meeting you in person sometime in the near future. So coming to this subject of Ireland, why is it called the Emerald Isle? In fact, there are many sobriquets that it is known by. Emerald Isle is one of them. And that is because it's a very green place. Emerald is green, Ireland is green. It's a very, very green place. Now, one could be surprised that, after all, Ireland is at about 54-degree north latitude. So it's at the same level as maybe Siberia in the Russian Federation. It's at the same latitude as Newfoundland and Labrador in Canada. And those places are full of snow, but we hardly ever get any snow in Ireland. And we are going to be discussing about that. But let's move on to the first slide that I'd like to show you. And this is the island of Great Britain and Ireland. Ireland is the third largest island in Europe after Greenland and Great Britain. Now, there's a lot of confusion I have found between the different terms that are used to describe this region and these countries, whether it is England, is it Britain, it is Great Britain, it is United Kingdom. So let me very quickly go through it. England, what you see in the green, is came into existence as an independent country in the early 10th century AD, when Athelstan, the grandson of King Alfred the Great, he put all these, the whole region together and became the King of England. Wales was incorporated into England at the end of the 13th century when Edward I, he came and conquered this area in about 1277 to 1283. Scotland was incorporated along with England, first in a personal union in 1603, and then in a political union in 1707. So England, Wales, and Scotland would be called the Great Britain. Now, one could ask why Great Britain, because I think it was to differentiate it from Britannia, which is in the northwest, a peninsula in the northwest of France. So not to confuse it with that, it was known as either Britain or Great Britain. Then in 1801, we saw a political union between Great Britain and Ireland. And so it came to be known as the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. But in 1921, we had Ireland, the southern part of that island that you can see, that broke away, became an independent country, became a sovereign republic actually in 1949. So it was only the northern part of Ireland which continued to stay along with Great Britain. So now we have in this region two countries. One is the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, which is the area that you can see in color. Green is England, violet is Wales, yellow is Scotland, and pink is Northern Ireland. And what you see at the bottom is the Republic of Ireland. So this is what the island of the Republic of Ireland is. At the moment, it is divided into two. What we learn from geography earlier is that there used to be an ice bridge between Ireland and Britain. And that ice bridge that started, it allowed people to go from one to the other, travel from one to the other over the ice bridge. But that stopped to exist as the earth became warmer. So that stopped to exist in about 16,000 BCE. And in 14,000 BCE, there was a connection in the northern tip of Ireland with Scotland. In 14,000 BCE, that also there was just that ice bridge remaining. And in 12,000 BCE, we see that there is a total disconnect between the island of Ireland and the island of Great Britain. And in about 6,000 BCE, we see that even England gets broken away from Europe. So these dates that I'm mentioning, it's not really necessary to remember, but it really gives you a timeline of how things have happened. And as you can see from this image also, that we have up north, there is the North Sea between Ireland and Scotland. Then there is the Irish Sea that is in the middle between the island of Ireland and Great Britain. Down below there is the St. George's Channel, which is not shown in this particular map, but as we go into the further maps, then we'll be able to see that. And below that, right at the south of Ireland is what is known as the Celtic Sea. And of course, on the west is the Atlantic Ocean, as we can see. Before I proceed here, let me just give 3 or 4 major takeaways as far as Ireland is concerned. I think the first thing to remember, and which would be very interesting for those who are watching this program, is that Ireland has been constantly under relentless attacks for several centuries. The attacks, and when I go through the history, I will go through that in some detail. First, the Vikings came to Ireland from 795. That is when they came to the Lambeth County on the eastern part of Ireland. And they stayed here till about 1014, beginning of the 11th century, when they were defeated by the High King Brian Boru. So for about 200 plus years, it was the Vikings who kept on raiding them. But of course, the Vikings made very significant contributions to Ireland, as we are going to see. Then we find that from the 12th century, that is from 1171, Henry II came to Ireland from England, and England stayed on here till 1921. In 1171 was the beginning of the occupation of Ireland. In 1801, there was a political union between Ireland and England, as I mentioned briefly. But in 1921, Ireland broke away and became an independent state, and that is how. So it emerged as a free, independent, sovereign republic became that in 1949. The second aspect is that after the demise of the Roman Empire, when we saw that what we call the Dark Ages, they came over Europe, they came over England, they came over Scotland. Ireland was the one place which continued to be a fount of knowledge and learning. And it was from Ireland that all this, whether it was knowledge or learning, or it was art, whether it is metalwork, or it is stone carving, or it is manuscript illumination, all these things traveled to other parts of Europe, northern parts of Europe and England. And also Christianity was, Ireland was able to send out Christianity when one of the Irish priests in Columba, he went to an island of Iona in the north of Ireland, and he established a monastery there for the propagation of Christianity. So when there were the Dark Ages that prevailed in other parts of the continent of Europe, Ireland was the one place which gave knowledge and which gave light to these places. The third aspect would be that the last few decades have witnessed rapid economic growth and progress as far as Ireland is concerned. And we have seen that there have been ups and downs, like, for instance, the international financial and economic crisis that came about in 2007, 2008. Then we also have witnessed in 2020 the COVID-19 problems. But Ireland has been able to withstand all that and continue to move forward. In the 1980s and 1990s, Ireland was known as one of the Celtic tigers because its economy was doing so very well. But even today, if we look at it, it is in terms of the per capita GDP, Ireland is about amongst the 5 highest countries that have the highest per capita GDP. So despite the international crisis, it is moving forward at a very impressive pace. And the last point that I could make as far as a general takeaway is concerned is that Ireland does not like itself to be known as being a part of the British Isles, because Ireland says that neither is it Britain nor is it British. So it would like to be known as the Republic of Ireland, and the whole area to be known as the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. So with these few remarks, let me go to the next slide. I'm going to be dealing with the geography, with the culture, with the economy, with the history of and some fun facts about Ireland. I am going to, as far as history is concerned, I'll go through it chronologically. And again, as I mentioned, there's no need really to remember the dates. But in terms of, you'll be able to see the progress, the timeline, the manner in which things evolve and things change. So this is the first map, and we can see that Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, occupies about 5/6 of the territory of the island. And what I had mentioned that there are these different seas here. You can see Irish Sea, Celtic Sea. Dublin is the capital of Ireland. Some of the other major cities are, which we can see on this map, are Waterford, Cork, Limerick, and also in Northern Ireland, we have the capital as Belfast. Now, most of these cities were really established by the Vikings when they came here at the end of the 8th century, because before that, there was not really all that system of so many towns and cities. But these large habitations were put in place, were established by the Vikings when they come here. Now, this map shows you 4 provinces. This is the ancient method in which by which Ireland used to be divided. Right on the top in violet is Ulster, on the right is the Leinster, Munster, and Connaught. And when the British came in the 12th century, then we had the division of these provinces also in different counties. So there are 32 counties, and we can see, as you can see from the map also, Leinster is the one that has the largest number of counties. They have 12. Ulster has 9 counties. 6 of them are a part of the Northern Ireland, which is a part of the United Kingdom. 3 of those counties, which you can see on the left-hand side, they are the ones that still continue to be with the Republic of Ireland. So we have 12 in Leinster, 9 in Ulster. We have 6 in Munster and 5 in Connaught. So all of it making 32 counties in Ireland, as you can see here also. But here, of course, there is no division that is shown between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. Let us look at this map. Here you can very clearly see the names of all the seas that I had mentioned, even St. George's Channel also, Irish Sea also. A couple of points that I would like to mention here. As I mentioned, Dublin is the capital of Republic of Ireland. And here also we can see those big towns, Wexford, Waterford, Cork, Limerick, etc. Here you can also see next to Limerick is this big river Shannon, which is the longest river, about 390 kilometers. And it really divides the island into 2. A couple of other places that I could draw your attention to, which you might wish to keep in mind, although I'll speak a little about them later. One is right in the on the left-hand side, east in the southeast, we have the Rock of Cashel, and this is a very important place. It's on a hilly rock where we have a cathedral, we have a palace, we have a tower, we have a chapel, and a very important place of tourist interest. Then we have in County Clare, on the left-hand side, on the banks of Atlantic Ocean. On the coast of Atlantic Ocean, we see the cliffs of Moher, and that also I'll speak about it in somewhat greater detail. And then right above Dublin, we have the New Grange tomb, and this is the place where about 3,500 years ago, we have the burial place, the very ornate burial place that the Irish used to have. So let me look a little bit about history, and 2 or 3 things are significant here. As you can see in this map, the green parts on the western side, on the southern sides, and just below Dublin are the places which are mountainous here. So we have mountains all around on the west and on south and on the southeast. But these mountains are not very high. In fact, the highest mountain here we can see is down below by the name of Caranto Hill, and that's just about 1,000 meters, which means a little more than 3,000 feet. So it's basically hills on the sides, and in the center we have greenery. In the center we have plains, and so it is the plains are shielded by these mountains as on the western side particularly. There are, of course, a large number of lakes along the islands, along Ireland's rivers. And a couple of points here would also be interesting. As I mentioned, that this is a place, this is a country and island which is always very, very green. And while other countries at the same latitude might be full of snow, but not so Ireland. And the reason for that is that there are 2 of these warm streams. in the Atlantic Ocean. One is the Gulf Stream and the other is the Atlantic Drift Stream. As a result of that, there is a lot of warmth as far as the western borders of Ireland are concerned. There's hardly any snow at all, but this means that there is a lot of rain. So throughout the year there is rain, and there are just about 2 months or so in a year that there is some sort of bright sunshine. There is no rain, but that is what makes it agriculturally a very important country. And that is also, I think also what needs to be remembered is because of the mountains on the west, there is much more rain in the western part than there is on the eastern part. The other aspect, as I'm sure you might have noticed, is that the western side of the island is very serrated, it is very jagged, it is very craggy. And the reason for this is exactly the reason why we have the fjords in Norway, because this is also a part of the post-glacial terrain, and it was all, as I mentioned, covered by ice. And when the ice started melting, the land under it also started contracting and getting cracked in different places. So we have very high, steep slopes here also. And as I mentioned, this cliffs of Moher is on the western side, just next to Galway in County Clare. And that is the reason why we have on the western side these fjord-like structures, very steep, very high, and very craggy and serrated area. So coming to the next map, again here we can see the brownish areas are the mountains, are the hills, and right in Munster at the bottom southwest we can see the Caranto Hill, that is the highest point here, 1,000 meters or so. As I mentioned, the temperature is temperate. It is not very severe. And the largest lake is Loch Nee. That is, I understand, is the pronunciation. And that is in Celtic language. And of course, because it is such a green place, there is great deal of timber, peat, bauxite, and a large number of other minerals that can be found in in the country. Natural resources, it is very well endowed with. Let's have a look at a little bit about the economy of the country. Now, the population of the Republic of Ireland is about 5.1 million. And the population of Northern Ireland is 1.9 million, which makes the total of population of the island as about 7 million. So it's not a very large country in terms of population. In terms of area also, we had seen it is about 84,421 square kilometers, which is something close to Azerbaijan and close to some of the other medium-sized countries, not a very large country as such. And population, of course, it is a small population that we have here. But in terms of the GDP, nominal GDP, it is close to about 500 billion. We have seen that the GDP growth was in 2020, when I said the coronavirus was there, the pandemic was there, there was lockdown everywhere. So here it should be minus 3.4%. The GDP went down by 3.4%. But after that, it has in 2021 and again in 2022, the GDP has grown up very significantly. As I mentioned, the GDP per capita is about $100,000, which is huge, which, as I said, is about the fifth or the sixth largest in the world. In terms of GDP by different sectors, agriculture is a very small part of the contribution to the GDP. Industry is about 39%, and services, of course, in terms of hardware, computer hardware, software, medical devices, all that it is pretty high. The Human Development Index is 0.955, which is extremely high. The highest that any country can reach is one, which is possible only theoretically. But Ireland, it is a very high Human Development Index. In terms of exports, we can see the exports are much higher than the imports. The population is small, but it is very tech savvy. They are all very, the human resources are very well developed. They are very skilled people, technologically very skilled people. And so their exports in different areas, in pharmaceuticals and others, are also very high. Here we have, I have indicated the GDP per capita, both the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland. And as you can see from 1980s, 1990s, the blue graph, which shows the economy, the GDP of Ireland, that really goes up very significantly. You can see that there is a dip around 2007, 2008. That is when the sovereign debt crisis in Europe happened, and Ireland suffered GDP losses of about, in the first year, about 8.4%, then next year about 4.9%. But then it has been able to pull itself up by its straps, and now it is again on its upward journey. Now, having looked at the economy, at the geography, and some major factors regarding Ireland, let's have a look at the history of this island. As I said, I'm going to go, my treatment is going to be chronological, but I'll be mentioning a few dates. You don't really need to remember the dates, but just follow the timeline and the process in which it moves forward. So the first is we look at the Stone Age, the Mesolithic and the Neolithic age, and it is said that the first people to come to the island were from England and from Scotland. And they came around 8,000, 7,000 BCE. Now I use these interchangeably, BCE and BC. BC used to be mentioned, we used to employ that earlier, but now the current formulation is BCE for what earlier used to be BC, and what earlier used to be AD, now we use it as CE, that is the current era. So the first people to come here were in the 7th, 8th thousand BCE. They came from England and Scotland. They settled down near coasts and rivers and woods, and they traveled to different places looking for food, looking for water. Then more people came during the Neolithic age, around 4,000. They knew farming. They were able to build houses. They were able to establish themselves well and get fencing, get farming, till the land. So that happened around 4,000. And then from 2,500 BCE, we have the arrival of the Bronze Age. So this is the gradual timeline of how people came and started settling. Here on the left-hand side, we can see the thatched hut near a water body, and that is the sort of habitat that the people built here. Hunter-gatherer hut, that is how I have identified it as. And this was around 4,000, 3,000 BCE. And on the right-hand side is the Lagrange tomb. One of the this also gives us an idea of the religious beliefs and practices of the people at that particular point of time. And a visit to this is indeed very rewarding, because it still has the pots and pans that the people would put there when they buried their dead. and also they are these. The insides of this tomb is very ornately painted, so as that when the people went into the next world, into the other world, they would be comfortable and they would be lead a happy life. That is what they would. That is what they thought. Now we come to the next phase, and the next phase is the arrival of the Celts, and this is the in about 500 BCE. This is how the Celts were in different parts of Europe. What we see in the orange and the dark red shades, and from there they started their journey up north to England and to Ireland around 500 BCE. And in Ireland, they came. If we look at what was the situation around 400 CE, that is 400 AD. Sorry. Then this is a structure. What you see, the dark green shades, that is where the Celts stayed, while in the other places where there is a lighter green shade, that means the concentration was not as high and their concentration was coming down. So we see that it is in Wales, it is in Ireland, it is in Scotland, it is in the peninsula of Britannia, and it is in the southwest part of England that the Celtic influence continued to be there, that the Celtic thinking was prevalent there. And of course, they set up a system of governance which was very hierarchical. At the top, there was the king, and below that, it was a very hierarchical system. And this continued to be the system of governance in Ireland till the English came in at the end of the 12th century. Now, all of us are aware that the Romans had come to England. Romans had come even as far up north as Scotland. But it is a matter of some dispute whether the Romans came to Ireland or not. And whatever research, whatever study I have done, it is, to me, it is quite clear that the Romans did not come here. And I think the reasons are quite simple. Number one, of course, the Romans had come and had been able to have good full control over what is England. But as far as Scotland is concerned and the Highlands are concerned, their control was very tenuous. So I think they would have come to Ireland if they had been able to establish a very strong control over Scotland. Since they were not able to do that, and Ireland was really not known to them, they were not very certain what were the benefits, what would be the advantages. So I don't think that the Romans came here. But one thing is certain, that Roman coins have been found here, so that there was trading that was taking place. And one of the important commodities that was being traded were slaves. And I would like to bring the story of a very important slave that was brought from Wales, who later became the patron saint of Ireland, that is St. Patrick. And he was one who was captured from Wales. He was brought to Ireland, and he was employed as a swineherd. And he stayed there for many years. He learned the language. But then he was able to flee from there, and he was able to go back to Wales. Now, after the Roman Empire, that crumbled, that lost power. Then there was dark ages in the north of Europe. There was dark ages in Britain, because all the learning that had been there as a result of the civilization, as a result of Christianity, that was had been lost. At that time, we have St. Patrick gets a call from the Pope that he should travel to Ireland to teach the gospel, those who had already been converted to Christianity, to keep their faith, he should travel there. He had, of course, many reasons not to travel, but then because he didn't have a very good experience in Ireland. But then it is said that one night he had a dream, and he was told that in his dream, God came and told him that he must travel to Ireland. So that is what he did. He traveled to Ireland in 432 CE, and that is how Christianity came to Ireland. It had been there, present in a small way, but it was after St. Patrick came here that Christianity really took root. And the older Druid tradition of worshipping the forces of nature, of trees, of rain, of water, and all the others, that collapsed in the face of this new religion. And as I mentioned briefly, there were a large number of new arts that developed, the manuscript illumination, metalworking, sculpture, all of them flourished, and we can see examples of many of these in different parts of the country. And the Book of Kells, which is kept at the Trinity College in Dublin, that is a prime example of that. And we can see large specimens of ornate jewelry also, and many carved stone crosses that are still in many parts of the country, many parts of Ireland. They are quite visible. As I also said, that St. Columba in the island of Iona, he set up a monastery, and he was instrumental in propagating the ideas of Christianity to Scotland. So that is how it started from there. And we have St. Patrick, and there are, of course, very many myths that are associated with St. Patrick. Many people even seem to suggest, seem to doubt whether he was in fact a real person, or he's been invented by people. But I think it is more or less clear that he was a real person. It is said that he had very many miraculous powers, and he was able to banish all snakes from the island. But this seems to be a rather far-fetched story, because Ireland being an island and detached from the main continent of Europe, it is quite plausible that there were no snakes, because it was in any case detached from Europe. But still, there are a number of such fantastic stories and miracles that he was able to perform that abound. Now we come to the next phase of the development of Ireland, and that is the arrival of the Vikings in 795 CE. They first invaded the church on Lamberg Island in Dublin in 795 CE. Dublin was not a very well-developed place. In fact, all these names, Dublin, Cork, Limerick, Waterford, Wexford, all of them get their names from the Viking language, and they have been transformed in such a manner to form the names that we know today. So in the next centuries, there were bases that were established at different places: Waterford, Cork, and Limerick. And the Vikings would come. They would, in the initial stages, they would plunder, they would attack, they would take back slaves. They would go back to Norway, because Vikings who came to Ireland principally came from Norway. Vikings from Denmark traveled to the east of England, traveled to the north of France and Europe. Vikings from Sweden traveled eastwards. But basically, the Vikings who came to Ireland, they were from Norway. And they stayed here for about 300 years or so, 200 plus years. And the High King, Brian Boru, he was the one who defeated them in 1014. Now, the institution of High King had started here from about the 8th century. And this institution was that a number of small kings or small chieftains would get together, and the most powerful of them would be known as the High King. And Brian Boru, as you can see, he's in the picture. He was a very formidable person. He was tall, he was muscular, he was very valiant, he was very brave on the battlefield. So he is really known as one of the icons as far as Ireland is concerned. And of course, it adds to his reputation that he was able to defeat the Vikings in 1014. This is a map of the travels of the Vikings. As you can see that it was from Norway, what we can see here. The Vikings traveled to Dublin and to other parts of Ireland. From Denmark, they traveled to the eastern part, York, and to the northern part of France. So the Vikings, many of them were able to assimilate within the territories that they came. So here you can see on the left-hand side the different cities that the Vikings established. And the map on the right-hand side is the dark green shades are again the places, the cities that the Vikings established during their stay. Now we come to a very important phase in the history of Ireland, that is the arrival of the British, and as I said, of the English, and that happened exactly in 1171. That is at the around the end of the 12th century. And this is because the King of Leinster, Dermot MacMurrough, he was having a past struggle with the High King of Ireland, O'Connor. So he went across to the continent and he asked King Henry II of England, who was also the King of Anjou, that he should come and help him to get restored to the position of the High King and to again become the King of Leinster. Henry II sent one of his generals, Richard de Clare, Strongbow, because of his proficiency. He was known as such because of his proficiency in archery, and he was able to come and vanquish the opponents of Dermot MacMurrough and conquer the area on the eastern part of Ireland. But Henry II thought that Strongbow, Richard de Clare, was getting too powerful, so he decided to come himself to oversee the operations, and he declared himself as the Lord of Ireland in 1177. In fact, there was a papal bull, whether it was real or it was fake, that is still disputed. But there was a papal bull which authorized, which instructed Henry to go to Ireland and to convert the people there to Christianity. So, of course, it is the belief that Henry II would, in any case, have would have attacked Ireland and tried to occupy it. But the fact that the King of Leinster, Dermot MacMurrough, came to him asking for help, requesting for help, it really proved to be a catalyst, and it only hastened the process of the control by English over Ireland. So this is King Henry II, his reign from 1154 to 1189, and he sent his son John Lackland, and who later became John I, and he was known as Lackland because he was very much low down as far as the becoming a king or getting any property. So his name was also which the people gave him was very evocative, Lackland, that he would never come into possession of any territory or any land. So he was made the Deputy Lord of Ireland. He was sent there in 1185. he conducted himself quite miserably, and not at all in a very proper manner. He was still very young, but he went there and he would start, well, not all that young also, but he started pulling at the beards of the Irish nobles there, and he thought it was very funny, but it didn't endear him at all to the people there, to the nobles there. And he also started distributing the land there to the nobles in England, which also did not go down well. But then he became the king when Henry II died in 1189. His eldest son became the king, but the eldest son also died very suddenly in 1199. So John Lackland, he became King John I of England, and he was ruled from 1199 till 1216. So he tried to establish his control over Ireland, but of course he is not known in history. He has gone down as one of the very worst of English kings. Of course, there is some recent reassessment of his policies and of his actions. And so there is some revision of that assessment. But still, historians believe that he had many distasteful, even dangerous personality traits such as pettiness, spitefulness, and cruelty. So this is at the beginning of the 13th century. And this is what we see Ireland in 1300. The Anglo-Normans, they have come. In the blue, we see on the left-hand side those areas that they had settled in, and in green are the areas where it is still the Irish nobles who hold sway. But what happens, what starts happening is that slowly and gradually, the people, the Anglo-Normans who come there, they start mixing with the local community. They start intermarrying. Their taste change, their attire changes, their language changes. So they come to identify themselves very closely with whatever is happening in the country. And that is what you find on the right-hand side, Ireland in 1450, that it is very much what one would say Gaelicized, that all the Gaelic, all the Celtic traditions and cultures and customs, that they have been adopted by the people who have come in here. And this rings alarm bells as far as London and Westminster Abbey is concerned. And they decide to pass laws so that the people who are going there, they would not be allowed to intermarry. They would not be allowed to change their names. They would not be allowed to wear the costumes or dresses of the local people. And this is in 1366, we have the statutes of Kilkenny, which which pass this instruction that this needs to be done. Here on this side, you can see the Pale is the only area where the writ of the British Crown runs. Otherwise, much of the area has been taken over really by the local lords and nobles. So here we have the Statutes of Kilkenny in 1366, which forbade intermarriage between the native Irish and native English, use of Irish names and dress by the English, etc., because they wanted to prevent the Gaelicization of the Anglo-Normans. In 1494, we had another law called the Poynings Law, which made Irish Parliament subordinate to the English Parliament. Now, the Irish Parliament had been established in 1297, but since this was after the British had come there, but in 1494, it was made mandatory that any laws which are emanating from the Irish Parliament, that they would have to be passed by the Privy Council of Britain if they were to be, before they were to be implemented. Now we come to another phase, because as we've seen, There's the Lord of Ireland, and then much of Ireland. The people who come there, they get engaged in terms of very good relations with the local Irish people, and there is a pushback from London against that. And now we come to Henry VIII, and he is the one who really establishes total control over Ireland, and that is in 1541. I think all of us are aware of the story of Henry VIII when he wanted to marry more than one wife. He wanted to marry Anne Boleyn, and so he divorced himself from the church, or from the Catholic Church of Rome, and started the Anglican Church. And in 1547, he got himself declared as the King of Ireland by the Irish Parliament. No longer the Lord of Ireland, because the Lord of Ireland was a title which was given by the Pope. So now that the church was removed, so he became the King of Ireland, and a near total conquest of Ireland was achieved by the 17th century. What really played a very big role in this was what is known as the Ulster Plantation by James I in 1609. What are these plantations? Basically, the plantations are to bring people from England, bring people from Scotland, Protestants, those who believed in the Anglican Church, displace the Irish Catholics from the land that they were occupying, and forcibly put these people in those positions. It had started during the time of Queen Elizabeth at the end of the 16th century, but one of the most vicious was, one of the most aggressive was the Ulster plantations by King James I of England and King James VI of Scotland, the same person. And the attempt was basically, they said, we are going to civilize the uncouth and barbarian Gaelic people of Ireland. In 1641, there was a rising principally in Ulster, because that is where most of the people had been forced out of their places. And this resulted in sectarian massacres. And then we had, for some years, from 1641 till 49, for about 8 years, there was the Catholic Confederacy that ruled in this part in Ulster. But then we had Oliver Cromwell coming to Ireland to suppress this revolt and to physically root out all opposition. So here we have the 9 Years' War that took place, that is before the Confederacy. And this was the time when Queen Elizabeth was on the throne, and she sent forces. So this is also known as the Flight of the Earls, because all the people from Ireland, they were defeated, the English won, and the Flight of the Earls took place from here. They went to France. The people thought that they would be able to bring more forces and come and save them, but that never happened. So this really marked this Flight of the Earls and the beginning of the 17th century, and the Ulster plantations really marked the end of the Gaelic Ireland and start of the Anglican period as far as the Ulster region, the province of Ulster is concerned. So here we have on the top, we can see this orange and dark red areas. This is the plantation of Ulster that took place by James I. And as I said, it was basically a means to control, anglicize, and civilize the Gaelic Ireland. And the biggest plantation was Ulster. It led to massive cultural, demographic, and economic changes, and also to centuries of ethnic and sectarian conflict. We witnessed that even after Ireland became the Irish Free State in 1921, became an Irish Republic of Ireland in 1949, that the troubles kept on happening in the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, till we got the Good Friday Agreement in 1998. So all the genesis of all that was this plantations that were put here. This is Oliver Cromwell. As I mentioned, that there was a brief rule by the Confederacy from 1642 to 1649, but Cromwell reconquered Ireland in 1653. He was the commander of till 1658 when he died. But I'm sure we are aware of the history that is in England, that is the execution of Charles I in 1649. But when Cromwell himself dies in 1658, and he has been such a brutal leader and ruler that people are again yearning to bring the monarchy back. So we have in 1660, Charles II, he comes and he becomes the king. He's the king for 25 years till 1685. He is known as the Merry Monarch. He is hedonistic. He has very many flings, very many affairs. He has several out of wedlock children, several children from his mistresses, but he doesn't have even a single child, legitimate child of his own. So that when he dies in 1685, there was his brother, James the Second, who ascends the throne as James the Second of England and James the Seventh of Scotland. I'm very sorry for if you get confused with these titles, but maybe just don't pay too much of attention to the titles. Just look at what they did. So we have James the Second of England. He ascends the throne in 1685. He is a Catholic. He is an avowed Catholic. And this, as we know, that there have been so many wars that have been fought in England, by England, to keep their church, to keep their religion safe. So people are unhappy, but they say that after him, possibly his daughter, who is married to William III of Orange, that she is a Protestant, that she will come and occupy the throne. But in 1688, he gives birth to a son. And that is what creates the problem, because now they know that when James II dies, then it is his son who will be raised as a Catholic who will become the king. And the same year, 1688, he also executes 7 bishops. He gives orders for execution of 6 bishops, but that order is overturned by the courts. And so that brings down very significantly his popularity amongst the people. So the court nobles, they decide to invite William of Orange and Mary to come and occupy the throne. They are ruling in the Principality of Orange in Europe. So this is known as the Glorious Revolution. They come here, and James II, he flees first to France, then he comes to Ireland, and there is the big Battle of Boyne, which he loses, and he has to flee. Now, during this period, we see that majority of the people of Ireland are still Catholics. They are peasants, they are poor and largely inert. But there are many Anglo-Irish, like Jonathan Swift, like Edmund Burke. They are authors, they are writers, they are thought leaders. They are upset by the behavior of the English, and they want more local control. But around that time also we have Queen Anne, who has ascended the throne after both William and Mary. They die in 1702. Queen Anne comes to the throne, and she is highly anti-Catholics, and she excludes Catholics from holding public offices. such as judges, MPs. They cannot vote, they cannot own land, they cannot allowed to hold arms. There cannot be any intermarriage between Catholics and Protestants, and many more restrictions are placed on Catholics. So there is a huge pushback against the Catholics during the time of Queen Anne, and she is lives from 1700 and she rules from 1702 to about 1715. And then we have the Hanover dynasty, George I, George II, and George III, and his rule starts from 1760. Till that time, he is the longest reigning monarch in Great Britain, 1760 to 1820. Although he is also known as the Mad Monarch because he turns quite insane at about in about 1810. But he's also, because it was during his reign that England lost the 13 colonies in America. But he is the one who gets a political union between Ireland and England in 1801. And it is also done with the same method as Scotland was incorporated in 1707. That is by bribing the people in the Irish Parliament and making sure that they vote for the political union. But as a result of all these fights and wars, Ireland is largely passed over by the Industrial Revolution. So the Industrial Revolution, which gave great benefits to England and to Scotland, there was nothing of that nature that could be that Ireland could partake of. Then we come to the Great Famine, 1845 to 1851. The worst year was 1847. There was a potato blight also. The people of Ireland depended very hugely on the potato crop, but that was also did not turn out well. So there was a huge migration from Ireland to US, to Canada, even to Liverpool. And this period also saw the rise of modern Irish nationalism because the attitude of the British leadership during the Great Famine was not helpful at all. They did not put an end to the exports of food items from Ireland, and this was seen as they did not come to the help of the people of Ireland, and this was seen as something that was that put the people of Ireland against the rule of Great Britain. So the struggle for home rule starts after that. Charles Stuart Parnell and many others campaigned for home rule. There is the act passed in 1914 that home rule will be granted to Ireland. It would be a part of the Dominion. It would be a part of the Commonwealth. But since the First World War starts, there is temporary exclusion. It is kept to the side so that after the war, this matter would be taken up. There is also exclusion of 6 counties of Ulster, which did not want home rule and which wanted to be wanted to continue to be unified with Great Britain. So, but in 1916, we see the Easter Rising. That is some political leaders, the party of Sinn Féin, which is what translates as we ourselves. They have an uprising, and initially people are against this. But then when there are so many people are arrested and so many people are executed, then the mood of the people changes and comes out in favor of the people who have risen against the British. And so in 1918, there are the first Doyle elections that are held, that is the general election. And basically in that, the Sinn Féin party, it wins 70% of the seats, 73 seats out of 105. 25 of them uncontested. That is basically in what is now the Republic of Ireland. They don't do well at all in the Ulster region. So it sets up an Irish Parliament, the first Dáil. It meets in 1919 and it reaffirms the Declaration of Independence that had been done in 1916. The main architect of the Irish independence, taking it forward, is Eamon de Valera, and he occupies the position of both President and Prime Minister. Initially, he is against signing of the Anglo-Irish Treaty because in that there is a provision that there will be an oath of allegiance and faithfulness to the king, and Ireland will be a part of the British Dominion, of the British Commonwealth, which he doesn't like. There is a civil war, but then he lays down arms. And in 1932, when his party, Fianna Fáil, it translates as Soldiers of Destiny, when that comes to power, then he makes many changes and does away with this oath of allegiance and declares itself to be a republic in 1949. It is not a part of the British Commonwealth and it emerges as a sovereign democratic republic. So that is the position of the history of the Republic of Ireland, starting from about 8000 BCE till the present time. I have spoken briefly also about the manner in which the economy has evolved. Let's have a look at a few of the cultural aspects of the country. This is the harp, which is the national symbol of Ireland. In fact, Ireland is the only country to have a musical instrument as its national symbol. It is linked to Celtic mythology as an instrument to unite the people of Ireland and bring them joy. Later on, it is seen as an instrument of the angels. The significance of the harp is also because Brian Boru, the High King who defeated the Vikings in 1014, is seen with a harp when the war with the Vikings is going on. So harp occupies a very special place as far as the culture of Ireland is concerned. The other iconic institution, if I could say that, is the Guinness beer, which also we can see that it has its symbol is also the harp, which is inscribed on top of its own logo. And this is one of the most important export and domestically consumed product. This Boyne Valley Tombs I showed in the beginning also. It's one of the World Heritage Sites. In 1993 it was approved. It is in County Meath, just above Dublin on the eastern side of the country. And here you have, this is a burial place where there are pots and pans and very ornate decorations on the walls of this burial ground. These are the cliffs of Moher. This is in County Clare, as I had shown you. They range from about 120 meters high to about 214 meters high, and this is a length of about 14 kilometers or so. It's a very large expanse over which these cliffs are standing. And here, this is the Trinity College in Dublin, right in the heart of the city, and the Book of Kells is located there. Of course, if anyone wants to go, you have to seek a prior appointment there. This is the Rock of Cashel, again in the center of the country, a very highly visited place. If the cliffs of Moher are the most visited by tourists, about 1.5 million people, even Rock of Cashel is more than 1 million people who come to visit there. These are the St. Stephen's Greens in Dublin, again, center of the city. And here you have a large number of plants, flowers, very well kept, very well tended. There is a duck pond. And the story goes that even during the Easter Rising in 1916, both sides in the evening would declare peace so that the ducks could be fed in the duck pond in St. Stephen's Green. A few of the Nobel laureates in literature, all the names are very familiar. George Bernard Shaw, William Butler Yeats, Samuel Beckett, Seamus Harney, and many of the others, Oliver Goldsmith, Jonathan Swift, who were possibly before the time of the Nobel Prize. And we have some fun facts about Ireland, that although it has a population, the total Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland of about 6.8 or 7 million, Ireland has a diaspora of about 80 million, and about 36 million of them are in the US. The Irish Gaelic is the first official language of the country. So although the although the English tried to stamp out the Gaelic culture, but Gaelic language is still very popular and used in the country. Halloween is Irish. They used to celebrate it. The Celtic festival is known as Samhain, which means summer's end, and it features exactly the same items that we do today as far as Halloween is concerned. Ireland has also won the Eurovision Song Contest more than any other European country, a record 7 times. So that is quite remarkable. Ireland was neutral during World War II, but that is only officially. Unofficially, it continued to help Britain in its fight against the Axis powers. And it continues to be neutral. So while we see today that there is so much of a conflict about Ukraine becoming a member of NATO, and even countries like Finland and Sweden have decided after years of neutrality to become part of NATO, Ireland continues to be voluntarily not a member of NATO. Now, the last slide, I will come to share a few limericks with you. I'm sure everyone is aware of the 5-line stanza limericks, and they rhyme with each other, and they have bring a smile to everyone's face. So the first one goes like this: a maiden at college, Miss Breeze, weighed down by BAs and Lit Ds, collapsed from the strain, said her doctor, it's plain, you are killing yourself by degrees. The second one: there was once a farmer from Leeds who swallowed a packet of seeds. It soon came to pass, he was covered with grass, but has all the tomatoes he needs. And the last one: there was a young woman named Bright, whose speed was much faster than light. She set out one day in a relative way and returned on the previous night. So friends, let me say this brings me to the end of my presentation on Ireland, the Emerald Isle. I have enjoyed speaking with you, and I look forward to your comments, your questions. I look forward to having a conversation with you. If there is anything that is not clear, or if there's anything that you would like to have some more details, please do not hesitate, let me know. And it'll be a pleasure for me, both in the virtual format as also going forward in person, to interact with you, to meet with you, and to share information about Ireland and many other places of interest. Thank you very much for your presence. Thank you very much for your attention.